life enrichment coach, and I'm also a Caregiver Saathi coach. Today we have with us Harika Sachdev, an active caregiver, a life and personal growth coach, and a caregiver coach. Welcome, Harika.
So wonderful to be here, Anasuya.
Thank you. So, telling a little bit more about Harika's journey, Harika's experience and early in life of palliative care to family members allowed her insight into the sensitivities and sensibilities in dealing with life and critical illness of a much loved one. It ignited in her a quiet desire to contribute and help people through personal challenges, and her work as a life and personal growth coach are part of this ongoing journey. Today, we are going to ask Harika to share and give more insights into her journey of caregiving. Harika, would you like to add a little bit more about yourself?
Um, since we are here talking about the caregiving journey, so yeah, I can let you know that I became a caregiver at the age of 27 when my mother fell critically ill with a terminal condition. Um, my father had to continue with his role of being the provider of the family financially, and also he wasn't really equipped emotionally to take on the role. I was at the beginning of my work career, and it implicitly became my responsibility to take on the caregiving role then. And that's how the whole journey began. In a lot of ways, it also shaped the work that I do and have continued to do now. And in a lot of ways, today I can say that I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the person that it allowed me to become, and all that it allows me to do now. So yeah, that's me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I like the wonderful way you've looked at it so positively, and how you're saying that you're grateful for the experience. Uh, right? So
Yeah,
your caregiving journey began at 27 years of age,
that's right.
and you cared for your mother. And currently, what role are you playing? Are you still a caregiver for her?
Yes, so sometimes we like I said, we get fortified in our roles with experience, and uh, after my mother, I became caregiver to both sides of my grandparents, and currently I am an active caregiver to my father, who's in an advanced stage of the Parkinson's degenerative disorder. So the role does continue along with everything else in life. Yeah.
All right. So a lot of challenges. You've been caregiver for so many people in your life, so many close and loved ones. To ask you more, what were your thoughts and feelings when you entered this role? And how have they evolved from when you were 27 to today and you've taken care of your mother, your grandparents, and now your father?
So frankly, Anusoya, at that time when this role came to me, I really had no time to think. One just had to get on with the management or whatever was presenting itself as and when it was opening. And yes, perhaps one wasn't equipped, and I don't think you really ever are, especially when there's emotion involved, there's a loved one involved. Um, so in some ways, I think that continues to be my philosophy even now, that whenever something does present itself, not to think of the why, but to think of how to solve or to resolve it, and handle the situation at hand at best with the resources that one has. always keeping in mind, obviously, the best interest of the caregiver, but also of the caretaker, sorry, but also of me as a caregiver, of what I can do, how much I can do, how much I can expand myself or extend myself. That I am initially maybe not, but I am mindful of now. And also, what happens is that over time, one develops a sort of organized and predictable call to action pattern. So every time a situation or a new situation opens out, you literally, sort of in your head have like a hierarchy of 1, 2, 3, 4 things to do. You manage to, at least I do now, and I see that about myself. I manage to, in fact, step out of myself, step out of the emotional self, and start working with the pragmatic and the practical, and start managing tasks and doing things one at a time. And that has, evolved and grown, and thinking on your feet are things that now come naturally, because every time a crisis needs to be managed. And the other thing is that you also manage to find creative solutions. You manage to build support systems, which initially I didn't have. So all of that has been my learning and evolved over time.
Wonderful. Thank you. I must commend you for the whole positivity in it. There is no blame. There is no, uh, I would almost say, guilt to an extent of, not doing it the right the first time around, but a continuous growth pattern that you're sharing. Uh, from getting out of the emotional and into the pragmatic, getting into more mindful, getting more organized, developing a hierarchy over the years. Would you please share some of your challenges and frustrations which you have so positively handled? But if you can enumerate some of them.
So, being human that we all are, it all just bogs you down, and it does me. I mean, there's an emotional drain. There is no two ways about that. There are days that you completely feel spent. So that is a challenge. So it's then up to me to be able to get myself back on my feet, and come back with some sort of resilience. But like I like to always say, resilience is a muscle that strengthens with experience. So sometimes you need to go through experiences to build that resilience, and to know that you have that resilience, which we all do, but you experience it, in times of challenge. The other thing is that the whole weight of caregiving, and again dealing with the helplessness of a loved one, is also always a challenge. The constant onus of decision making for another person, also, has it bears on you. You're always hoping that you're taking the best decision in a given situation. So, and in a lot of ways, I honestly believe that, and which is why probably I don't experience much of it now, though again, being human, it does, is that guilt is a useless emotion, and I've come to sort of uh, have that as one of the mantras I live by. So there isn't much guilt that I feel, because I do know now that I'm doing the best I can. Whatever the situation, I'm doing the best I can with whatever resources I have at hand. But the challenge about managing your emotions, or not only managing, also processing your emotions, is a big one for me. I don't like to bottle up things. I do want to be able to expand. And similarly, even for a loved one, there are times that they can express, sometimes they can't. But them being in a helpless situation is the one thing that is a constant challenge, and it kind of overwhelms me.
So when you talk about all the others, that brings me to my next question. Before I go back and remember what you said, one more. How did you manage your other responsibilities? right? There is you're on an emotional ride over here, turmoil.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you did say touch upon, you went straight to the why instead of dwelling on the how.
Yeah.
How was that with other relationships and responsibilities, be it with the family members or your work or yourself,
Hmm.
along with this huge task of being a caregiver?
Um, so for since most of my life has had some percentage of, I'd like to say, of caregiving always predominantly existing. Um, Initially, for a few years, my work definitely took a back seat. However, being one again to find creative solutions, I'd like to say, it then pretty much shaped a lot of the work that I do. So in that sense, work did continue, maybe not in the way that originally one had envisaged. And I really think that I am cut out or equipped for the work that I now do. As far as family is concerned, yes, then again, our challenges because expectations are not met. Sometimes that leads to frustrations. I have two young children who at times feel that priorities are accorded not as they would always like. And in that sense, what I have and I do is always keep an open communication with children, with the other family members. That not only helps to voice out whatever our unmet needs and but also then together find a solution to best get what one needs to in terms of, for me, for the children, for hopes and aspirations that anybody else has, and also to be able to discuss expectations. So when we are able to discuss it, we're not only able to manage and set boundaries for each other, but we're also able to together come to what can and cannot be done, and an understanding that maybe all solutions don't have to be the way that we envisage, but in different ways, still getting us where we want to go and how we want things done. So whether it's my participation with the children, with other family members, with things that sometimes I want to do, it's always good to voice them, and which is what I do. So we talk a lot. We don't hold anything in. We talk a lot. There's always a time out, and we discuss.
Beautiful. That's a lovely way and very inspiring for others that even when a lot of your responsibilities about caregiving, the rest of your relationships in life, personally, uh, really benefit from keeping an open communication and discussing expectations. I love that term, discussing expectations, right? Uh, Instead of hiding from them or not being able to meet them, and then, like you said, getting guilty, but then to not have that useless emotion. I'm going to repeat again, where guilt, you say, is a useless emotion. So true, right? And you do away with that, with guilt, by having an open discussion, by discussing your expectations, open communication, and you build up your the other responsibilities also are completely fulfilled. Wonderful, thank you. So how are you, what support, or what have been your go-to for yourself personally, responsibilities in caregiving and other relationships are taken care of it.
Hmm.
How do you feel confident and in control despite these different roles and stressful situations?
Okay. So feeling in control again comes like I said, with experience, in the sense that the moment I'm in a situation, I've got this voice in my head saying, hey Harika, you'll figure it out, you've done this earlier, you'll figure it out. And slowly the solution starts coming. Maybe some bit of it is from past experience, and that helps. Some bit of it is just thinking on one's feet, and maybe sometimes just stepping out of the emotional self, like I said, which one is able to do now. So in that sense also. And then the acknowledgement to myself, and actually gratitude to the universe that I've done this before, I can do this again. We'll find a way around. The other thing is that, and I know you briefly touched upon it, is about asking for help. So yes, asking for help is difficult. Also difficult because so many times it's just simpler to do it all yourself. You know how it needs to be done, and are you going to spend too much time to explain it to another person, or just do it on your own? But what I have realized over time is that, just with other things, and I know I mentioned it in the beginning, there's also like a hierarchy of things that need to be done when a situation presents itself. So not everything needs to be done by me, and even friends and family sometimes are happy and easier to help if they're delegated tasks which are not that critical. And it's also, so one can work with help. uh, I also make peace with the fact for the next time that maybe things are not done as I expected. So if it's a non-critical support that I need. For example, if there's a whole list of things that need to be done, and there are errands that to run around while my father, in this case, is perhaps in hospital. I'd just pick up the phone and ask, and I may get A type of thing and not B, and that's okay. At least I don't have to do the running around and manage that as well, right? So asking for help, definitely, maybe for things that I feel can just be managed without my intervention, so that it's totally off my plate. And then when somebody says, you're also worried at times that somebody may say no when you ask for help, or they're not able to do it. Um, Over time, that also is okay. I've asked, I've done my bit. If they are not there, very often somebody else just shows up. Now I at least know that part of this work can be delegated, or supported by another person. I'll ask somebody else. So having a circle of family members or friends is very, very empowering in that sense. And what I also do is that, I like to share. So sometimes we just like to keep it all with ourselves. I like to share. So even when something happens, I'm okay to sort of send out a message to a couple of people. Hey, I'm in a spot right now, and I may call on you to help. And you'd be surprised how people rally around. We don't even have to qualify the help, and sometimes they tell you what they can do, and we take that on. And that really, it just also makes you feel loved and supported. We all need that. I don't want to feel alone, that I'm the only one doing this. And I have friends, and I have people who care for me, and it's wonderful to draw on their resources as and when I need it.
Beautiful. So the strokes, right? We call that in psychology. Yeah, you get
That's
the
that.
strokes,
Strokes can be from
and
oneself or from others, and they work wonders. They are extremely empowering and uplifting.
so you've almost turned it around where you wonder if you're in a hard position, and how does talking about it help? And I think that's a new learning for me to understand that you feel more in control when you one acknowledge to yourself, and secondly when you ask for help, because when you ask for help, you've, like you said, you fearing that somebody will say no, but you always have found that if one person says no, uh, very
Just
rarely when it happens, there's always somebody else who comes up, and in the end the whole practice of asking leaves you empowered, gives you the strokes, is so much positive.
yeah, and
It's a
you
feeling that's negative in the mind when you say ask for help, and but you've just made it, turned it around and made it sound like such a positive thing.
asking for
So
help
thank
doesn't mean that I am any less. Asking for help means that I have time to replenish or to do other tasks, so that the whole joy of caregiving, or the responsibility of caregiving, whichever way you want to look at it, that expands. You're able to do more. And also, sometimes when you talk to yourself, it also gives you clarity of thought. Hey, I've done this, I got to do this, maybe this is how it needs to be done differently. And while you're doing that, you just also understand how much you are doing. And that's great acknowledgement. That's also a wonderful form of self-care. And so, yeah, I mean, we need to take care of ourselves. And don't we feel good when somebody else compliments us or says something to us which sort of makes us feel better or more powerful? Why not say to ourselves, we are the one who's doing, so I'm the one who's doing it, and I'm happy to acknowledge to myself that I'm doing so much. It makes me feel good. It does make me feel in control. And it also allows me to step up and be there for somebody else when they are in a similar situation, because I have already acknowledged that I can do this. I've figured this out. There is a way to do this, there is a different way to do this. So when I can support myself, I can also happily support somebody else.
Beautiful. You have, really just turned around the whole situation when somebody in that position will feel like less in control because they are asking. But you've made it very clear that asking for help is actually getting more in control because you're acknowledging yourself. That's a self care. You're getting clarity on what you need to do or have to do or prepare. And then you're also in a much stronger and empowered position to not just help yourself, but help others also, which, like, again, is empowering. When you are handling something well, so suddenly asking for help is getting in control, not losing control. That
Absolutely.
is so. So, could you share some of your joyful moments or anecdotes from your caregiving journey? Uh, Not that I found anything till so far not joyful already, but
uh,
some specific ones.
so what's always joyful, and I'll share maybe a recent one, is whenever the person that you're caring for responds with a smile. I think it just one, it tugs at your heart, and it just is such a moment of joyfulness, of gratitude, and one that I always cherish. Mm, but on the funnier side, I'll give you an anecdote, something that just happened day before. So my father is in hospital right now. And it day before was a very very hectic day, and in a lot of ways we had to take some decisions, and there were some procedures to be done, etc. So it was almost, I think, till late afternoon with all of the running around, etc. One hadn't had a minute to sit. And I do always enjoy, the one of the other things that I do, I always enjoy my meals. I at least like to have one meal in the day that I savor, and I spend 15-20 minutes just relishing the food and being thankful for it. So I
Okay,
hadn't had time.
enjoy your meal. I like that one. I'm going to
Yeah.
just have
So,
these.
uh, so of course, the hospital had a cafeteria, but the food, as always, was quite unappetizing. And I said, "Hey, listen, Harika, I think you need a little bit of cheering up." And so I ordered myself a burger that I really enjoy, and I don't eat it that often. So I did that, and I sat down on a chair which was outside. They had a little bit of a lawn with a cup of coffee, and I really enjoyed that. That whole, so that was joyous for me. That those 15-20 minutes of time that I took out, and I think I was so blissed out that they had, of course, so my father was in a particular room the day before, and then they had shifted him to another one. But in all that blissfulness, I just went and I went into the older
Old one.
the older room, which is on another floor. Okay, but I think I was just so much in myself, and I'm happy to say that I had switched off from everything else. And I opened the door, and there is this lady lying down, and then I gave her a cheery smile, having realized what I've done. But she smiled back, and I think we had such a sweet exchange. She was probably happy to have somebody visit. And then I walked out and then I walked back to my dad's room and I was sharing that with the attendant there. So yeah, it was so all in all, I think it allowed me not only to enjoy my meal, but just completely switch off and recharge. And
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
the
how nice.
entering the different room it was a reminder that okay, I'm getting that recharge. I'm I'm, I'm fortifying myself here.
Oh no, that's lovely. Thank you. Because sometimes when you're in a hard situation or you have to make some hard decisions, we tend to become very serious. Yeah,
That's true.
and if and serious does not have to make mean sad and ignorant of everything else. You can be happy and you can still make a serious decision. Yeah, that's what you've shown us, and how uh, probably you were more in a better place to then be with your father and do a better job of taking care of him, because you had had your recharging moment so
Absolutely.
wonderfully, right? Or not you feel sometimes you almost tell yourself that the miserable I am, the more serious I am, and the more hardworking I am. But
Yeah.
that's just been raised of, and I thank you for sharing. That is such a lovely thing that just makes you feel that you can still be happy and take care of things and do a great job of
Yeah.
serious caregiving. Yeah.
That's right. So, there's another little mantra that I have for myself, which I need to say to myself once in a while when I guess, feeling extremely tight and limited and stressed out. That caregiving, it doesn't define me, and I can't let that confine me either. So in some ways, whenever I step out of that role and fully do something else that I am in participating in, um it expands me. And it also, by that same token, like you said, helps me show up for this role in a more recharged manner, or in a way that I can be more present for the caretaker in this case. So allowing myself not to be confined by it or just be defined by the role of being a caregiver,
Something.
um, it really
Um,
helps.
that I can understand, and that is so true. But we want to kind of just stay in, because if it's a big role, you want to just stay in that role. But
Yeah.
thank you for showing us the importance of you know
We
when
are
you
more
come out
than.
of the role into your identity, you can
Yes.
do the same role even better, and like you said, recharged and perform better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, have you shared your experiences? Because yeah, they are so wonderful. I would love to hear about it, and more people to discuss, talk about their experiences, which would help them. So, have you shared your experiences before, and how was the situation there?
So I've had the opportunity to share my experiences before, yes, over some other groups that I support and I was part of, especially during the second wave of COVID, where people were affected and suddenly found themselves in situations of being caregivers, with absolutely no preparedness. Not that it ever prepares you, but maybe performing very different roles in their life and suddenly had to become caregivers. So yes, that's where I've shared. I also do share, and I think it helps build rapport often with people that I do coach as a part of my caregiver coaching journey. So one has shared that, and it allows us to connect with others, and especially me. Like, I mean, I mentioned it, I think, earlier also, um, in being able to be present with those who are currently maybe feeling weighed down with this role. I'm happy to share, and I do keep sharing. And every time I share, believe me, new insights open up for me. I again feel acknowledged. Just being here actually is acknowledgement for me. And a lot of times I know that that helps me in doing my role better, and takes away some of the the unhappiness and the stress and all of that when I'm sharing with somebody else, and allows them to share back. The human connect builds with sharing, no matter what. And the more we share, I think the more resilient it makes us. And again brings me back,
Beautiful.
you know that in different ways and different experiences, resilience is the muscle that we are building here. And all these experiences build to it, and that helps us be in this role.
Wonderful. See, amazing. I find how, sharing your experiences does so much, gives other people a lot of assistance and recognition for what they're doing or what more they can do. And at the same time, there's so much of a return for you as well. You wonder what it is for you. Why would you share, or why would you tell strangers what you've gone through? But I love the fact, and you mentioned earlier also how sharing helps you feel more in control because it gives you a clarity of your role. It gives you the strokes, the acknowledgement for yourself,
Yeah,
and those, and builds up that human connect, which helps with resilience. So I
absolutely.
love how you have shown how sharing is, wonderful for all sides, for
It's a gift.
everybody.
I think it's a gift, and the more we do, honestly, the more comfortable we get. There is a hesitation initially, perhaps people may have, but once we get comfortable with sharing, we open up more. And then when we share and we talk together, we walk the journey to solutions together.
Beautiful. The journey, the solutions together. Beautiful. All right. So if you're in a position where you're feeling lost and you don't know what to do and you're trying so hard and feeling let down, I think that is what you seek. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's what. So
Walking a journey with somebody and walking it to the solutions.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Is
absolutely.
there something else that you count a lot that has supported you, or uh, I
Okay.
can't feel. I see I see the open communication that you have, the discussion of expectations, um, the taking care of yourself. I will never be able to have a burger again without thinking of you. Yeah, and will never be wary of walking into an unknown door, because even if you're wrong, you're still right.
That's right. And maybe we needed to have that little bit of exchange. I can't, I really enjoyed that the lady had such a beautiful, radiant smile, which she was wanting to share, and I had to receive it. So I had to go to that room. So the universe works in wonderful ways. we get we get the strokes that we need, and I think the more we realize that we need those strokes, the more they'll come to us. It's a strange
Yes,
way to manifest, but I think
it works like that.
yeah,
Oh,
it does.
beautiful.
It does. So
Beautiful, beautiful.
other things you asked me, other things that I do. So I, like I said, the meal thing is a big one for me. I'd mentioned that. So at least one meal in a day, I do, where I have that time to myself, and I savor not only the food, and I'm thankful for it, but also the quiet time that it allows me. Similarly, sometimes stepping out for a coffee by myself is as much fun for me as with a friend, and I'm happy to call a friend and have a chit chat, and we do that. um, I Okay, so an important part of my daily routine is also, when I wake up, there is this 10-15 minutes that I allow myself, whether it is, it is meditation, or it is just self reflection, or just being grateful, or then journaling. Journaling is another thing that I do, and that I do perhaps different times in the day, or whenever there is a lot going on in my head that I need to piece out, that I just maybe write it out. And in fact, even journal to acknowledge to myself, notes to myself, hey Harika, you've really done this today. And so I sometimes speaking aloud is good, but writing it down sort of, um, penetrates more for me. So I do like to do that. Those are all the things that help, that I can perhaps think of, that come to my mind right now. Yeah.
I love the part where you say, where you journal down what you've done. I myself love to make my to-do lists, not in the morning, but middle of the day. And
Hmm.
I like to write down first the first three that I've already done, so I can just tick them out. And like you said, the acknowledgement of yourself.
Hey,
Yeah.
control, got this, I've already done this.
Done. So I don't want to make a list in the morning of how I have 10 to do things, but I write it down when I've done at least three, four. So I can start on a high with the ticks. But I can see how journaling gives you that acknowledgement, and is why I think I do it
Yeah, and
myself.
sometimes the
Important.
journaling is not all happy. You wake up or you go to bed also feeling very weighed down. After all, the emotional toll that, and it's not only in the caregiving journey, but in any aspect of life. Things may not always go as planned, or you may not be able to show up in the way that you want, etc. So it always helps for me to write down. So if I'm feeling really down and out, I write that down too. And I said, and I really, that's again acknowledgement, which I do. I just, if I'm getting that horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach, I'm going to put that down. That this is what's showing up for me. And or if somebody, like I said, I've always said I'm human, right? So there, if somebody has perhaps my interaction or conversation with somebody has not gone the way that I want, or maybe I've had expectations and they haven't been fulfilled, or I feel that the children want more from me, or it could be anything. And all of those things also need to be acknowledged for me. So it's almost as if, with my, when I usually write the it's notes on my phone. So my phone is my go-to a lot of times. So instead of writing by hand, and then later when I read them, sometimes I read them, I delete them. When I read them, I'm like, I was really feeling this. I'm so glad I'm not feeling this now. So again, it's a realization that I have been able to move. And sometimes I'm stuck, and that's okay too. Hey, I'm still stuck. I'm still feeling miserable about this. Uh, but it's just it's not only in my head, then it's out there somewhere else also, and that helps me. So journaling is a big unwinding thing for me. It's a big self-care practice for me, whether happy, not so happy, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. See, I have this a little thing that I believe in also. How they say when you share share something, if it's positive, it grows, and if it's a sorrow, it kind of gets shared and it
Hmm.
becomes smaller. And
That's
I
right.
found, like you said, journaling, and you mentioned that sometimes when you read it again, you delete it also. So it's also an empowering feeling when you delete something or just an expression of a negative emotion. I find that it helps me realize that it is not so big. When I'm feeling, oh, this is miserable and I'm feeling so helpless, and if you put it down on paper or on your phone or anything, and then you read it again and you realize actually it's not so big. I'm dying out of pain here and exhaustion, and if I put it down, I say actually I'm not really dying out of it. I still have more in me. So
Hmm.
it's also acknowledging and giving yourself the strokes,
Yeah. Again,
and
absolutely.
getting energy. So if it's a good thing, it multiplies, and if it's a negative emotion, it doesn't like being presented or written down so much, and
Yeah.
it reduces.
That's right.
So lovely teachings, lots of getaways for us. And I love your creative solutions of discussing, of managing and writing down, and especially the food, because we do it every day, right? We take our meals, and that is an opportunity for us to make it into a charging station. Yeah, it's
That's
like
right.
every time you're eating, you are literally and metamorphically charging yourself.
You are, and sometimes again, I feel that today, like I did the other day at the hospital, I feel that I don't, I want to treat myself to something special, or so it's so around the meal I can do so much, and that little treat again is in some ways is validating myself and all that I am doing, and I'm literally entitled to a break or a treat, and that again, that acknowledgement is wonderful. It at least does wonders for me, so I'm here to give myself a little trophy.
And see how that attracts more positivity. You put in that, and then you were rewarded with another smile, and then you shared it with us. So, yeah, it all just attracts more happiness and positivity. You brought a smile to somebody's face, and they had a lovely smile to add to your experiences.
Absolutely.
But lovely. Thank you so much, Harika. It's been lovely speaking to you, and lots of good takeaways for us. And the most important is how wonderful it is to share and
It
how it
is.
is beneficial for you. I don't know if it's more beneficial for me. I would say for me.
So it's so, since we are all talking in the spirit of acknowledgement, of course it's beneficial for me. I'm loving it. This is the best self-care that I have been rewarded with. It's
Wonderful.
yeah, it's wonderful.
And
It's
so
wonderful.
much learning for us. Thank you so much for this evening. And I hope we hear from more people who get inspired from Harika to talk about their journeys, help us acknowledge them, and help us to feel more motivated and give us a lot of tips and tricks to make our own lives easier and happier. So
Thank,
thank you so much, Harika. All the best to you. Keep doing the good job that you're doing, and we hope more
thank
people
you.
support you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. It's been a wonderful discussion and so enriching for me. So, thank you. Lots of gratitude for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.